I never thought I'd wake up in someone else's skin, plotting murder in the mirror of a Park Avenue penthouse. But that's exactly what happened the night my mother-in-law's lies unraveled like a cheap suit in a rainstorm. 3 years of skimming rent from the Brooklyn brownstone I slaved to buy, funneling it into her Botox fund while I rotted in a psych ward, branded a fraud for her sins. And when I stepped into her body, heels clicking like gunshots on marble, her empire of deceit started crumbling from the inside out. It started with a phone call at 2 a.m., the kind that yanks you from sleep like a hook through the gut. "Sarah, it's the cops. Your tenant's dead, overdose in your basement." My heart slammed against my ribs as I threw on jeans and a hoodie, the chill of a New York November biting through my thin frame. I'd inherited that brownstone from my dad, a fixer-upper in bed-stewie that I'd turned into gold with my own sweat, teaching yoga by day, scraping paint by night. Rent checks kept me afloat, a lifeline to the American dream I was clawing for after my divorce.
But now?
Now it was a crime scene, yellow tape fluttering like mocking flags. I drove through the empty streets, radio crackling with some late-night talk show ran about, entitled "Millennials Killing the Housing Market." By the time I pulled up, the flashing lights painted the block in blues and reds, neighbors peeking from behind curtains like ghosts at a seance. Detective Ramirez met me at the curb, his face etched with that cop-weary sympathy. "MS. Hale. We found ledgers in the unit. Looks like you were cooking the books, underreporting income to dodge taxes. Feds are involved now." My stomach dropped. Ledgers? I'd never seen them. But there they were, in my kitchen later that week, stacked like accusations, forged signatures, phantom deposits siphoned to an offshore account. My account, supposedly. The evidence pointed straight at me, and the IRS didn't care about my wide-eyed denials. Plausible deniability, my lawyer muttered. But it was bullshit. I was the landlord of record. Guilty until proven broke. Enter Evelyn Voss, my ex-husband's mother, the silver-haired viper who'd always eyed my property like a hawk spotting a field mouse. At family dinners in her Connecticut estate, she'd coo over my quaint little investment while slipping passive-aggressive barbs about my bohemian lifestyle. Tom and I split 2 years back. Amicable on paper. But Evelyn never forgave me for trapping her golden boy in a shotgun wedding.
Now,
as I sat in her manicured living room, begging for a character reference, she sipped her Chardonnay with that porcelain smile. "Oh, Sarah dear, these things happen to ambitious girls like you." But really? Falsifying records?
So.
Reckless. Reckless. The word stuck like a splinter. By month's end, I was in cuffs, arraigned on federal fraud charges. The judge, a stern woman with a no-nonsense bob, denied bail. "Flight risk," she said, glancing at my history of instability. Evelyn had whispered just enough poison to the right ears, tales of my erratic post-divorce behavior, fabricated emails about shady deals. I lost everything the brownstones seized. My yoga studio shuttered. My name dragged through tabloids as yoga fraud mom scams tenants to death. Prison was hell's waiting room. Fluorescent buzz. The stench of bleach and regret. But the psych ward? That was Evelyn's masterstroke. During trial, she testified, oh, so tearfully about my mental fragility, citing a breakdown I'd supposedly had after Tom's affair. Lies. All of it. But the jury bought the narrative. Fragile Sarah. Cracking under pressure. Cooking books to fund a downward spiral.
Guilty.
10 years. With mandatory psych eval. I spent my first night in Bellevue staring at cinderblock walls, whispering to the shadows, "This isn't over. You bitch." 3 years blurred into a fog of group therapy and meds that dulled the edges but not the rage. I clawed for appeals. Pro bono lawyers who patted my head like a lost puppy. Then, the anomaly, a visiting experimental therapist from some Ivy League lab, peddling body-mind synchronization tech. Quantum empathy sessions, she called it, some DARPA-funded woo-woo to help inmates reconnect with their pre-crime selves. I signed up, desperate for anything to feel human again. The session was in a sterile room, electrodes humming like angry bees.
Dr.
Lena Voss, wait. Voss? Evelyn's niece. It turned out. Moonlighting for the Family Foundation. Coincidence? Bullshit. She strapped me in, cooed about neural bridges, and flipped the switch. Pain lanced through my skull, a white-hot scream that echoed in my bones. Then, nothing. Blackness, vast as the Hudson at midnight. I woke to silk sheets and the scent of Chanel No.
5.
My hands, manicured, veined like marble, fluttered before my eyes. Not my hands. I bolted upright, heart hammering, and stumbled to the full-length mirror in a bedroom that screamed old money, four-poster bed, crystal chandelier dripping light. Staring back was Evelyn Voss, 62, going on 40 thanks to surgeons, her sharp cheekbones and ice-blue eyes now mine to command. What the fuck? The voice was hers, clipped, aristocratic, but the words were mine. Raw and Brooklyn bred. Panic clawed at my throat as memories flooded in, not just mine, but hers. Flashes of boardrooms, martini lunches, and that goddamned brownstone. She'd posed as my property manager after the arrest, to help, collecting rent checks and pocketing them. 3 years, 60 grand easy. Laundered through shell companies tied to Voss Industries, her late husband's conglomerate. The ledgers? Her forgery, planted to bury me while she played the grieving in-law. I laughed, a brittle sound that cracked the silence. Body swap. Insane. But real.
Dr.
Lena's therapy had bridged us, me and Evelyn's shell. Her. Where? A quick scan of the penthouse news feeds on the wall-sized TV. No alerts. No missing persons. Just Evelyn Voss, CEO widow, scheduled for a gala tonight. But I felt it, a tether, faint as spider silk, pulling toward Bellevue. She'd woken in my body, sedated and strapped down, probably screaming for her lawyers. This was my shot. Revenge, served cold and corporate. I rifled through her closet, tailored sheaths, Louboutins that pinched like accusations, and pieced together Evelyn, pearls, power lipstick, a smile that could cut glass. Down in the lobby, the doorman nodded deferentially. Evening, Mrs.
Voss.
Cars waiting. I slid into the Lincoln, leather creaking under me, and directed the driver to Bed-Stuy. Not the gala, the brownstone. My brownstone. The streets blurred past, a neon smear of bodegas and graffiti saints. Evelyn's memories guided me, access codes, hidden keys. I parked a block away, heels sinking into cracked sidewalk, and approached the chain-link fence like a ghost returning to haunt. The place looked ravaged, boarded windows, weeds choking the stoop, but it was mine. Inside, dust motes danced in flashlight beams from my phone. Upstairs, in what used to be my office, I found it, a safe behind a false panel. Combo from her fragmented thoughts, her wedding date,
The bitch. Stacks of cash.
dog-eared leases with my forged signature, a ledger mirroring the one that damned me.
Proof.
But not enough. I needed her to confess, to watch her world burn while I held the match. The tether hummed stronger now, Evelyn, in my body, raging against the ward's orderlies. How long until she convinced them it was real? Days? Hours? I had to move fast. Back in the penthouse, I poured scotch, her favorite, peaty and punishing, and scrolled her contacts.
Tom.
My ex, oblivious as ever. Board members at Voss Industries, sharks circling her throne. And there, Lena private. I dialed, voice steady as steel. Darling, it's Aunt Evelyn. That session. Complication.
Meet me at the lab. Now.
Lena arrived flustered. Lab coat over cocktail dress. Eyes darting like a cornered fox. Auntie, you look off. I locked the door, poured her a drink laced with Evelyn's benzodiazepines, pulled from her vanity drawer. Tell me about the swap.
Lena.
How do we reverse it? She blanched, spilling half her glass. It's experimental, neural entanglement. Meant to foster empathy.
Not. This.
We need both subjects synced again. But Sarah's in isolation. If we wait. I leaned in. Evelyn's perfume a weapon. Sarah's a liar. Lena framed me, just like she framed the tenants. Help me end it, or your funding dries up. Family loyalty won. She nodded, tears smudging mascara. By dawn, we had a plan. Extract me from Bellevue. Reverse the bridge under the guise of follow-up therapy. But I had my own twist brewing. The drive to the ward was a gauntlet of rush-hour snarl, horns blaring like accusations. Lena flashed credentials. And there I was, Evelyn in my body, wild-eyed and restrained, spitting venom at nurses. I'm Evelyn Voss. Get my lawyers. Up close. It was grotesque, my yoga-toned frame twisted with her fury, cheeks hollow from 3 years of my incarceration hell. Our eyes met, hers blazing recognition, mine cold triumph. Show. Mrs. Hail, Lena cooed, injecting a sedative. Time for your session. We wheeled her to a private room, electrodes waiting like electric nooses. As the machine hummed to life, I whispered, close enough for only her to hear, you stole my life, Evelyn. Now watch me steal yours. The reversal hit like a freight train, agony ripping through synapses, identities slamming back into place. I gasped awake in my own skin, thinner, scarred.
But me.
Evelyn bolted up in hers, regal and raging. You little, I'll ruin you, Tom will. I hit the intercom. Nurses, we have a confession. Lena, scripted and sweating, played her part, Mrs. Voss just admitted planting the ledgers. Recorded it all.
Bluff.
Mostly hidden phone in my palm, but Evelyn's face crumpled. The dam broke, she ranted, spilling it all. The forgeries,
Dead and skim.
the whispers to the judge. Motive? Pure spite. Tom had begged her to buy the brownstone as a wedding gift. She'd refused. Petty grudge from my unsuitable background. When I succeeded without her,
She seethed.
the tenant's OD? A junkie she'd ignored, hoping it'd stick the knife deeper. Cops swarmed an hour later, Ramirez's eyes widening at the evidence dump. Evelyn lawyered up. But the recording's grainy but damning, leaked to the press by anonymous tip me from a burner. Voss heiress frames Betrayal in deadly scam. Her empire teetered. Stocks dipped. Board ousted her in emergency session. Tom called. Voice cracking. Sarah? What did you do to Mom? Nothing she didn't do to me first, I said, hanging up. Freedom tasted like stale hospital coffee, but sweet. Yet the tether lingered. A psychic scar. Nights. I'd jolt awake. Evelyn's echoes whispering doubts. Was the swap complete? In the mirror, did my eyes sometimes flash blue? The appeals court was a circus of suits and stares. But with Evelyn's confession on tape, my exoneration came swift, 6 months post-swap, and I walked free into a spring rain that washed the ward's stink from my hair. The brownstone? Returned. Tenants rehoused with Voss-funded vouchers, ironic restitution. My yoga studio? Reopened under a new name, hale and hearty. Classes packed with curious locals whispering about my comeback story. But revenge isn't a tidy bow, it's barbed wire. Snagging when you least expect. Evelyn rotted in Rikers, awaiting trial on fraud and perjury counts. No cushy penthouse cell for her, judge saw to that. Citing flight risk with a smirk that said payback. I visited once. Through plexiglass. Her once perfect coif now a gray tangle. Sarah, she hissed, voice a rasp from disuse. This isn't over. I have friends, powerful ones. Friends like Lena? I leaned in, fogging the divider. Lena had vanished post-confession, her therapy project shuttered by feds sniffing DARPA ties. Suicide note or witness protection. Rumors swirled, but I knew she'd bolted to Zurich. Evelyn's slush fund her parachute. Your empire's dust. Evelyn. Enjoy the view from the bottom. Tom hovered like a bad habit, text pleading family reconciliation. We met at a neutral diner in Queens. Formica tables sticky with grease. The air thick with fryer oil and unspoken rot. He looked older. Lines etched from scandal headlines. Mom's innocent.
Sarah.
You manipulated her. That recording's coerced. I stabbed my eggs. Yolk bleeding like old wounds. Coerced? She admitted it all.
Tom.
3 years of my life. Gone because she couldn't stand me owning something she denied us. He flinched, knew the wedding gift story. Had buried it like so many Voss sins. You're different now, he muttered. Harder. What happened in that ward? The truth, I said, sliding a napkin across. Coordinates to a storage unit. Key inside. Your inheritance, Evelyn's real ledgers. Not the fakes.
Offshore accounts.
Bribes to politicians. Burn it or join her. He paled. Pocketed it. We haven't spoken since. Divorce finalized. No alimony fights. Clean break. But the swap's ghost haunted deeper. Flashes. Evelyn's memories bleeding into mine during stress peaks. Boardroom negotiations I'd never attended. Whispered affairs with senators. The cold thrill of pulling strings. Power tasted addictive. A dark undercurrent to my normal life. At yoga, poses that once grounded me now twisted with aggression, downward dog morphing into a predator's crouch. Clients noticed. Sarah, your flow's intense today. Intense. Understatement. The first crack came at a tenant association meeting. Post-reopening. New folks. Earnest millennials in thrift store chic. Griping about rent hikes citywide. Landlords like you. One started. Young guy with a man bun and righteous fire. Like me, I felt Evelyn stir. Her voice slithering up. Darlings, supply and demand. Adapt or get priced out. The room froze. I clamped my mouth. But damage done. Whispers followed. Heard she learned from the Viper herself. I drove home raging. Tires screeching into my driveway. A modest split level in Astoria now. Bought with restitution cash. Inside, I lit candles, chanted mantras, but the tether pulled. That night, Dream Evelyn visited, us merged, laughing over champagne as we toppled rivals. Woke sweating. Phone buzzing, unknown number. Sarah Hale, this is Dr. Marcus Klein, Bellevue Alumni Board. Regarding your
Treatment.
we need to talk. Klein's office was a burrow in Midtown, walls lined with psych journals and faded diplomas. He was rumpled tweed, eyes sharp behind bifocals. The Voss Project, Lena's Folly. Entanglement isn't just neural, it's persistent. Residual links. You've been exhibiting. Executive dysfunction? No, enhanced cognition, but with dissociative traits. Speak English?
Document.
I gripped the chair arms, knuckles white. He steepled fingers. You're channeling her. Decision-making patterns, even micro-expressions. If unchecked, it could. Overwrite. Overwrite. My pulse thundered. Fix it. Can't. But contain it. Therapy. Immersion. Reclaim your narrative. He prescribed journals, mindfulness apps, a support group for anomalous experiences. Woo-woo squared. But I clung to it like flotsam. Containment failed spectacularly at the Voss Gala aftermath. Evelyn's ousting left a vacuum. Interim board invited stakeholders to a schmooze fest at the plaza. Stakeholder?
Me.
The framed XDIL, with a fat settlement check burning a hole. I went. Evelyn's little black dress refitted to my frame. Heels my armor. Tom cornered me by the ice sculpture. Breath boozy. You crashed Mom's life. Now you're here to gloat. Not gloat.
Wuberen.
The word slipped hers. Heads turned. A silver fox in pinstripes, Voss VP Harlan Crow, approached. Card extended. MS.
Hale. Your.
Resilience intrigues. Evelyn undervalued assets like yours. Assets.
Me.
The room spun with chandeliers and champagne flutes. Power's perfume intoxicating. By night's end, I'd inked a consultancy, Hale Advisory, auditing Voss for ethical lapses. Controversial? Hell yes. Pundits screamed conflict. But ratings soared. Harlan became complication. Late nights in his office. Spreadsheets morphing to silk sheets. He was Evelyn's type, ruthless. Connected. Whispering of mergers that'd make me untouchable. You're wasted on yoga mats.
Sarah.
With me. We rewrite the rules.
Sex was conquest.
His hands mapping boardroom blueprints on my skin. But mid-thrust, her voice purred in my ear. Use him, darling. Then discard. I shoved him off. Fled to the bathroom. Vomiting up caviar and regret. The tether tightened. Dreams turned vivid. Evelyn plotting from her cell. Bribing guards for a smuggled phone. Come to me, she'd croon. Finish what we started. Awake. I'd find myself drafting emails. Poison pens to rivals. Anonymous tips to regulators. One morning, I stared at my reflection. Blue flecks in hazel eyes. Paranoia. Or prelude. Klein warned escalation. The link feeds on conflict. Starve it. Forgive. Move on. Forgive Evelyn? I'd sooner swallow glass. Instead, I doubled down, diving into Voss ledgers. Buried deep. Not just my fraud, but a web. Kickbacks to city council for zoning favors. Tenant evictions masking toxic dumps. Evelyn's crown jewel, a Bed-Stuy redevelopment. My brownstone ground zero for luxury condos. She'd planned to flip it post-arrest. Me the sacrificial lamb. Rage crystallized. I leaked docs to a whistleblower site. ProPublica ate it up. Voss corruption. From fraud to gentrification grift. Stocks plunged 20%. Harlan called. Frantic. Sarah?
Pull it.
We're in this together. Together. I hung up. Blocked him. But victory soured. Tenants displaced. Families I'd promised stability now homeless. My decisions? Controversial as hell. Justice or just vengeance in a new suit. Tom showed at my door that week. Rain-soaked and desperate. Mom's suicide attempt, slit wrists in her cell. Blames you. Blames me. The words echoed her. And I slammed the door. But not before seeing the fracture. His eyes. So like hers. Pleading for the wife I'd been. Not this. Summer baked New York into a pressure cooker. Humidity clinging like guilt. And my life devolved into a high-wire act, balancing yoga, serenity, with Voss vendettas. The leak snowballed. Congressional hearings. Evelyn's arraignment broadcast live. Her defiant stare cracking only when the judge read counts. Racketeering. Endangerment. No bail. The gavel cracked. And America tuned in. Divided. Justice for Sarah or witch hunt Voss. Social media wars raged. My DMs a battlefield of death threats and marriage proposals. I ignored it all. Holing up in the brownstone my fortress. Repainted sage green. Floors sanded smooth. But peace? Elusive. The tether pulsed like a migraine. Evelyn's essence seeping. Her love of control. Her casual cruelties. At a client dinner, Harlan's desperate bid to salvage us, I caught myself critiquing the sommelier's pour. Evelyn's hauteur dripping. Darling, if you're serving swill, own it. Table silenced, Harlan's laugh forced. Later, in his hotel suite, I rode him with calculated precision. Her playbook, then ghosted before dawn. It's over, my text read. Your collateral. He didn't take kindly. By fall, smears hit. Anonymous posts claiming I'd seduced the board for shares. Yoga scam stress strikes again. Paparazzi tailed my classes. Snapping downward dogs for clickbait. Klein obsessions. Confront the merge. Write her letters, unsent. I did. Scrawling fury on legal pads. You stole my body. My freedom.
My trust.
But worst? You made me like you. Burned them in the backyard fire pit. Ashes swirling like freed sins. Tom reappeared. Not at my door but the studio, mid-class. Unrolling a mat like he belonged. I need to understand.
Post-Savasana.
Over green smoothies. He spilled. Evelyn's diaries. Smuggled out by a guard. She was broken.
Sarah.
Dad's death. Suicide. Covered up. The brownstone? It was his dream property. She hated you for claiming it. Broken. Empathy flickered. Unwelcome. Doesn't excuse framing me for murder-adjacent fraud.
No. But.
She wrote about the swap. Terror. Then clarity. Sarah's fire, mine now. To wield. My smoothie soured. The link bidirectional? Evelyn accessing me from her cage? That night, the dream hit hardest. We stood merged in a mirror maze. Faces blending, my curls in her bob, her sneer on my lips. Join me, she urged. Power shared as power doubled. I woke screaming. Phone alive, Riker's alert, Evelyn escaped. Bribed hack. Laundry truck vanishing into night. Manhunt headline screamed. Voss Viper vanishes. Target's framer? Fear coiled. But thrill too, Evelyn's echo. Hungry for the chase. I armed up. Deadbolts. Pepper spray. A Glock from a shady contact. Controversial? In America. Self-defense, gray gospel. Harlan called. Voice oily. Heard about Evelyn. Need protection? I have resources. Leverage. I met him at a dive bar in Hell's Kitchen. Neon flickering like bad omens. What do you want? I demanded, nursing a whiskey neat, her drink. You, he said, hand on my knee. And Voss back. Marry me. We reclaim it. Bury the leaks. Temptation lanced. Visions of penthouses and private jets. Evelyn purred approval. Yes. Darling. Rule together. I need him. Fled into the rain. But the seed planted. Power siren song. The confrontation brewed in winter's grip. Snow blanketing the city like a shroud. Tip line pinged. Evelyn sighted in Jersey. Low-rent motel. Cops swarmed. But I beat them, drove through flurries. Heart a war drum. The motel was a roach trap off the turnpike. Vacancy sign buzzing defiance. Room 7. Door ajar. TV murmuring infomercials. She sat at a formica table. Older in the harsh light, wrinkles unmasked. Eyes feral. Sarah. No rage. Just weariness. Come to finish it? I shut the door. Gun heavy in my pocket.
Why?
After everything, the rent, the frame, the swap. Why not just buy me out? Pride flickered. You didn't need me. Proved it.
Thriving while I
Stagnated. Confession tumbled. Dad Voss's suicide wasn't grief, embezzlement exposure. Her cover-up. The brownstone? His last gift to her. Lost in divorce to Tom. I saw you as thief, not survivor. Planted the ledgers to reclaim it, but the OD. Unintended. Then Lena's machine, your rage flooded me. I felt alive in your skin. Twist gutted me. The swap hadn't just freed me, it had infected her with my fire. You used it to confess? She nodded. Ghost of a smile. Redemption's a bitch.
But you're me now.
Heartened.
No.
But doubt gnawed. My leaks had hurt innocents, displaced families, Voss layoffs. Controversial calculus. Justice's collateral. Sirens wailed distant. Go, I said. Inexplicable. Start over. No more games. She stood. Embrace me brief. Electric. Tether snapping like live wire.
Pain.
Release. Then gone. Slipping into snow. Cops arrived empty-handed. I played dumb. Harlan fumed. Board dissolved my consultancy. Tom? Forgave. Tentatively, coffee dates. No promises. The brownstone thrives. Co-op now. Rent's fair. But endings? Debatable. Was mercy weakness? Or evolution? In quiet nights, I wonder, where's Evelyn? And in the mirror, whose eyes stare back?
No. Mine.
Always mine. The escape changed everything. A fracture line in my reclaimed life. Headline screamed, framed widow vanishes. Accomplice suspected? Fingers pointed at me. The vindictive ex. Paparazzi camping my stoop like vultures at roadkill. I lawyered up same firm that botched my trial. Irony's bitter pill, and issued statements. I wish Evelyn well in whatever path she chooses. Healing for all. Bullshit platitudes. But they bought time. Klein's sessions ramped to twice weekly. His office now a confessional booth. The snap you felt? Dissolution. Perhaps. But residuals linger. Ethical bleed. Your recent. Mercies. Hers. I shrugged. Picking at a cuticle. Mine. Empathy's not weakness, it's strategy. He scribbled notes. Unconvinced. Homework, shadow work, listing Evelyn traits to exercise. I did. Cunning. Resilient. Unapologetic. Traits I'd claimed as armor. Harlan wouldn't quit. Bouquets arrived, roses thorned like accusations, followed by emails. We could run Voss legitimately. Your morals. My muscle. Tempting. In America's meritocracy myth, where revenge flips to redemption arc. I met him one last time. Neutral ground, Central Park bench. Joggers blurring past like fleeting normalcy. What's the endgame? Sarah? Alone in your ethical co-op. While she sips my ties and Belize. Free, I said. But his laugh echoed her, cold. Knowing. That night, I dreamed of boardrooms. Sealing deals with handshakes that crushed bones. Woke to a bank alert, anonymous deposit. $50K. Offshore ping, Evelyn? Or Harlan's bribe. I wired it to tenant relief fund. Controversial move that splashed Hale's mystery payback in rags. Tom and I danced a wary tango, dinners at his Murray Hill walk-up, takeout Thai, and tentative touches. Missed this, he admitted. Fingers tracing my wrist. The real you. Real me? The swap had sanded edges. Polish me sharper. Sex was reconnection. Slow and searching. But mid-gasp. Evelyn's whisper. Control him. Darling. I rolled off. Feigned sleep. By spring. We were official, tabloids cooed scandal sweethearts. But trust? Fragile as rice paper. The real controversy brewed at the co-op meeting. With Evelyn's escape, old tenants returned, demanding audits. You profited from our pain, accused Maria, the single mom I'd housed post-OD. I stood in the community room, projector humming Voss docs. I did. And I pay now, rent freezes, repairs on me. Votes split, half-hailed hero, half-cried sellout, citing my Voss ties. Fistfight nearly erupted, chairs scraping. Voices rising in that uniquely American brew of righteous fury. I mediated. Evelyn's negotiations silk threading my words. Compromise or combust. They yielded. But resentment simmered. Later, alone on the stoop, Maria's approached, cigarette glowing. Heard you let her go. Why? Mercy breeds mercy.
Lie.
Truth? The tether's last gift, understanding her voids mirrored mine. Abandoned dreams. Love turned toxic. Summer brought heat waves and Harlan's escalation, subpoena for conspiracy docs. I countersued defamation. Harassment, lawyers dueling like gladiators. Discovery unearthed dirt, his affairs with Evelyn. Pillow talk plots to oust her. You were pawn, my attorney grinned. Settlement. $200K. His resignation. Victory lap? Tainted. Power's aftertaste. Always a little ash. Klein declared progress. Integration. Not exorcism. Your hybrid stronger. Hybrid. Frankenstein's bride. Stitched from foe and self. I tested it. Launched a non-profit. Hail houses, affordable units in gentrifying zones. Fundraisers packed lofts. Donors toasting the woman who toppled an empire. But whispers, built on Voss bones. Tom proposed on a whim. Picnic in Prospect Park. Ring from his dad's cufflinks. Second chance. Kneeling. Earnest. I hesitated. Tether silent for once. Yes. Wedding small. City Hall. Yoga pals as witnesses. Honeymoon in the Keys. Beaches white as absolution. Waves erasing footprints. But paradise cracked on return. Postcard. No return. Evelyn script. Proud of you.
Daughter.
Postmarked Miami. Alive. Watching. Relief ward with wariness. I burned it. But the seed. Family redefined. Villains to kin. A year post-escape. Life settled into uneasy rhythm. Wedded bliss laced with vigilance. Hail houses expanding to Jersey. My name synonymous with reformist landlord in policy circles. Tom thrived in his ad gig, pitching Voss-free futures with a wink. We bought a fixer in Crown Heights. Irony intentional. Nights hammering drywall. Days building equity. Controversy stalked.
Though.
A podcaster cornered me at a gala. Sarah Hale Voss. Wait. Hyphen. Stockholm much. Mike thrust. Eyes hungry. You let a criminal flee. Justice for tenants or soft on white-collar crime. Crowd hushed. I smiled. Evelyn's chill in my spine. Justice isn't binary. It's systemic. Prosecute the machine, not just the mechanic. Clip went viral. Debates raging. Feminist icon or enabler. I leaned into it. Op-eds for NYT. From victim to victor. Why mercy fuels change. Klein retired. Last words. You've tamed the beast. Or become it.
Beast. Apt.
In quiet. I felt her, not haunting, but echo. A bass note in my resolve. The twist dropped like a gavel. Lena surfaced. Not in Zurich, but witness stand. Federal trial. Evelyn extradited from Cayman. Tan fading under courtroom fluorescence. Lena testified. The swap was no accident. Evelyn commissioned it. Empathy therapy to manipulate Sarah's defense. Gasps rippled. Evelyn's glare could curdle milk. Motive? Post-arrest guilt. Twisted. Force understanding to coerce my silence. Failed spectacularly. Cross-exam. My turn. Character witness. She destroyed me, I said, voice steady. But in her skin, I saw fractures. Doesn't excuse, explains. Jury deliberated days. Verdict. Guilty. 15 years. No slap. As marshals cuffed her. Our eyes locked. Gratitude? Defiance? Thank you, she mouthed. For the swap? The mercy? Ambiguous end. Tom and I watched from gallery. His hand squeezing mine. Proud, he whispered. Home. We uncorked wine. Toasting closures. But endings debate. Happy? My empire's modest. Houses thriving. Book deal pending. Swapped. A tale of betrayal and becoming. Tragic? Scars linger. Tether a faint hum. America's gift. Reinvention. I choose hybrid, Sarah. With Evelyn's edge. Forged in fire. Unbreakable. And if she writes again, I'll reply. Family's messy that way.